After a long break, now we are again here to solve Euclid's geometry, and straight away I am going to take you on exercise 5.1. Okay, so the first question, it is given the true false along with the regions. Which of the following statements are true and which are false? Give reasons for your answer. See, the first one is given, only one line can pass through a single point. No doubt it is someone's book, so they have written false true. So don't worry about it. I am going to tell you the reasons also. It is given that only one line can pass through a single point, the first one. So if a single point is given, so if I am drawing a single line, no, it's not like that. There are infinitely so many lines will pass. See, suppose the single point is P given, so it is the second line, this one is the third line, then fourth line, so many. So the first statement is what? False. So what is the correct answer for that? There are infinitely many lines will pass through a single point. Okay, so this is what the statement or correct statement of the first one. This one is the correct statement because the statement was false. Now we are what? Just redesigning the statements. Let's go for the second question. See, it is given as there are infinite number of lines which passes through two distinct points. Now infinite number of lines means there are so many lines which is passing through two distinct points. So if I am taking two distinct points and if I am considering only the two distinct points only, so what I will find that there will be one line will pass through two distinct points. So statement is false actually, because if I am just talking about one point, so this one is a condition, but for two distinct points I need a collinear line. So for collinear means all the points should lie on the same line. So we can say that only one line can pass through two distinct points. Okay, so this is also the false statement. Clear? That is the two distinct line possess only one single line. Now let's move for the third one. It is given as a terminated line produces infinitely on both the sides. Obviously it is true. Terminated line means it is a true statement. Why it is true? Let me explain you. Terminated, that is, if I am just extending in both the directions, okay, I can extend it till the infinity. Okay, that's why it is said that a terminated line can be produced indefinitely on both the sides. Now the next one is, if two circles are equal, then their radii are equal. It is a quite bit very simple statement and a true statement. Two circles are equal. Let me explain you once again the diagram. When the two circles will be equal, if they are drawn separately, suppose this is the first circle, you can draw using rounder also. Suppose this is what? A 3 centimeter circle, and another one, if I have to make an equal circle of equal radius, it is a second circle of 3 centimeter. So we can say that the radius is same in both the conditions. So if the radius are equal, that is r1 is equal to 3 and here it is r2 is equal to 3. So I can write r1 is equal to r2. So if the radius is same, so what is the length of the circle? They are also same. So that's why the fourth statement is also true. Clear? Let's proceed for the fifth one. It is given as, see, figure is given. Again, AB is equal to PQ. Why AB is equal to PQ? Because if suppose the length of AB is 4 centimeter, the length of PQ will be also 4 centimeter. That's why they are equal. Now the next statement is PQ is equal to XY. Why PQ is equal to XY? If PQ is equal to 4 and XY is equal to 4, so obviously it is PQ is equal to XY. So can we say that length of AB is equal to length of XY? Yes, it is, because all are of 4 centimeters. That's why AB is equal to PQ 4 4. PQ is equal to XY 4 4. Then AB is also equal to XY. So there is no need for description of this equation. It is what? True. So we can say that AB is equal to xy. Clear? So by this way you can write there. Clear? So write in your notebook. Now question number 2 is there. Give a definition for each of the following terms. See, definition is given in textbook, but still I will send while writing by myself also. If you are trying, then it's very good. See, there is a parallel lines, simply the two lines which never intersect each other till infinity. It is called parallel line. Perpendicular line, that is one line is just incident on the other, making an angle of 90 degrees. It is called as perpendicular line. Line segment, you are done in 8th standard, I think, I'm sure, that is the part of line is called as line segment. That is, line segment has 2 ends, but a line has no ends. So part of line is called as line segment. Then radius of a circle, that is the length from where we can define a circle, is called radius of circle. And square, that is the all sides of squares are equal, that is congruent, and the opposite sides are parallel. So simply you can write the definitions. It is not a burden kind of you. And the third question is, consider two postulates given below. Okay, we have to consider two postulates. That is, given any two distinct points A and B, there exists a third point C which is between A and B. Okay, so what postulates I can consider here? That is, given any 2 points A and B. So if A and B are the 2 points here, A and B, what is saying that third point C which is in between A and B, C is somewhere A and B. So what you can take from C, that is, we can say that if two distinct points are there, so for two distinct points, see the first one for question number 3rd. Okay, question number 3rd, I am doing the first one. I will give two postulates for the first question. That is, if two distinct points are given, so for two distinct points, it determines a line. Okay, first postulate, it determines what? A line. Clear? And the second postulate for the same question, I am going to give that a line contains so many points on it. So many points on it. Obviously so many points, because C is given. If the two distinct points are there and I am extending it in both the directions independently at a long way, instead of C I can put D, E also. So the first postulate is for question number 1, that for two distinct points it determines a line, and the second, a line contains so many points on it. Okay, it is the answer of the first one. Given any 2 points A and B, there exists a third point C which is between A and B. Okay, now second question of question number 3. There exist at least 3 points that are not on the same line. There exist at least 3 points that are not on the same line. 3 points not on the same line. What it means? Just think about from yourself. That is 3 points not on the same line. Okay, now if I consider the first postulate for second question, if it is a straight line A, B, so I have the 2 points different, that is for forming what? A line, but C is somewhere here. C is somewhere here which is not on the line. So we can say that the 3 points are there in which 2 points determining a line, but C is not on the same line. And I will give the second postulate for the same question. Okay, there exist at least 3 points that are not on the same line. So I can say that all the 3 points are non-collinear. Okay, A is somewhere here, C is somewhere here, B is somewhere here. They form a triangle. We can say that 3 non-collinear points form a triangle. So these are the 2 postulates for what? Question number 2. Okay, that is the first one is, if the 2 points determine the line, then C is not the point on the line. You can write like this way. And the second one you can write that if they are non-collinear, okay, then also we can say that they are not lying on the same line. For second we can say that second postulate I'm just writing that they are non-collinear points. Non-collinear points. So instead of writing, if you are reading my statements very clearly, you will get a better concept of writing the terms. So this is what, by this way we can define the postulates as the Euclid did. Clear? So this is what question number 3. Now I am going for the next segment, that is question number 4. See, if a point C lies between 2 points A and B such that AC is equal to BC, then prove that AC is half of AB. Explain by drawing the figure. So this is what the type of questions where we are going to introduce about given, to prove and proof. This is what, that is a part of theorem. So what is given? If a point C lies between 2 points A and B such that AC is equal to BC, it is what the given part, and what you have to prove? We have to prove that AC is equal to half AB. What you have to prove? AC is equal to half AB. So let's prove it with the diagram. Now question number 4. First I will draw the diagram here, that is AB and C is lying somewhere. So first I will write here given. In given I will write a point C lies on 2 points A and B. Okay, A and B are the 2 points. I am not determining it line, but they are the part of line, so they are line segment such that AC is equal to BC. That is, the length of AC is equal to length of BC. So what you have to prove? We have to prove that AC is 1 by 2 AB. What you prove? AC is 1 by 2 AB. So how to prove? Let's write the proof. In proof we write down, for the given 2 points, you write the same way as I am writing, because you will get the good practice. For the given 2 points A and B, C lies in between A and B such that what is given? It is given as AC is equal to BC. AC is equal to BC. Then you write down, since A, C, B are collinear. Collinear means we can write that the total sum of AB is equal to AC plus BC. The total sum of AB is equal to what? AC plus BC. So therefore AB is equal to, now AC and BC are equal. So what I am doing now? AC plus, replace BC by AC. So AB is equal to, it is 2AC. So just I am transferring to here this side. So it will be AC is equal to 1 by 2 AB. So by this way we proved it. Okay, AC is equal to half AB. So this is what a way to prove. Can you see it clearly? So by this way I am giving you assignment question number 5, and question number 6 will be solved by myself, and I will send you, okay, on WhatsApp. Clear? And even definition too. So exercise 5.2 is not compulsory to do because it has been taken out from our syllabus. So we have to solve those questions only what I solved you for exercise 5.1, and try to remember the postulates of Euclid's whatever written. Okay, postulate 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then whatever the terms will be sent to you, write, copy it in your notebook and send to me, sir. He will check and he will give you solution.